So before we dive into this stuff next week, I want to talk a little bit about what a rate is. So when we think about a rate, it really is just a ratio. We usually represent it as a fraction, and it's a ratio between two quantities of different units. So a lot of times the denominator is going to just be one of whatever unit. So when we think about it, so it is, let's just put a quick definition here. It is a one thing we can think about is a unit rate usually has a denominator of 1. But when we think about rates, we can think about all sorts of things like miles per hour. Or we can say, let's even add a number to it, 25 miles per hour. Or we can say 80 beats per minute as far as a heartbeat or time. We might get, I don't know, 26 miles per gallon of gas. So these are all in words, but there are boatloads of rates. A unit rate is just where the denominator is 1. And actually, these are all unit rates because it's 25 miles per 1 hour, 80 beats per 1 minute, and 26 miles per 1 gallon of gas. Okay? So let's what does a rate equal? Well, let's talk about this. When I look at a fraction like this, okay, I can multiply it by, I don't know, anything over itself, and we know that this thing really is just the number 1, right? And that makes sense. All I'm doing, I'm not really changing the value of anything. If I take 5 and I times it by 1, I still get 5, right? So when you multiply something by 1, you're not really changing its inherent value. You're just making it look differently. Same thing's happening in this case. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. I do still know that 2 over 4 is the same thing as 1/2, but you see that we use this unit of 1 to kind of change the way it looks. So let's talk about this in another case. So let's suppose I have 25 miles per 1 hour. Again, know that I could flip this fraction over and say 1 hour per 25 miles, but we're going to keep this in the unit rate and write it as 25 miles per hour. Now, what I want to do here is, let's say I don't really want it in miles per hour. I want to find this in something like feet per second. Well, we're going to use the rates that we know. We're going to use some of the unit rates we know. So I know that there are 5,280 feet. You might not know this, but we'll learn this later, in 1 mile. I also know that there are, what did I say? We're going to go feet per second, I think I said. So let's go, we're going to need to go from hours to minutes and then minutes to seconds. So I know in 1 hour there is 60 minutes, and there in 1 minute there are 60 seconds. So really, again, we're saying one thing is equal to the other. And if that's the case, if I say 2 equals 2, then when we divide them by each other, we'll always get 1. So down here, I'm saying this thing is equal to this thing. So if I divide those two things, really, I am just getting another fraction of 1 here. So now I'm going to kind of do something similar to what I did up here in this example, where we're going to take a fraction, like 25 miles per hour, and we're going to make it look different by changing the numbers on top and the bottom. Just like we changed the fraction 1 over 2 to 2 over 4, we're going to convert 25 miles per hour into feet per second. Let's do the feet first. So I want to get rid of the miles, and I want to move to feet. So I'm going to put the miles on the bottom. So I'm going to put 1 mile. Whoops. And on top, it's going to be 5,280 feet. Okay? And then we're going to set up another conversion factor. So you can see right now, when I do this, the miles are going to cancel. And so the unit I'm working with on top is feet. And that was the one I wanted to get to, right? We were going to try to move this to feet per second. And now let's go Now I have hours on the bottom. I want to get rid of the hours, so I'm actually going to put 1 hour on top. And then I'm going to use this conversion right here. We're going to move this to minutes. So 1 hour is 60 minutes, right? And then we're not quite where we wanted to be. We wanted feet per second. So then I am going to put, what's the relationship? I have minutes on the bottom. I want to get rid of it. So we're going to say in 1 minute, there are 60 seconds. So now, again, let's take a look. We can see what crosses out. Hours are going to cancel as well, right? So are minutes. The only unit I have left now, you can see on top, is feet. And the bottom is seconds. So you can actually see we are going to be in feet per second. Now, let me get my calculator out. We're going to multiply across. So we're going to multiply the numbers in the numerator together. We're going to multiply numbers in the denominator. So the top, it's going to be 25 times 5280 times 1 times 1. Let me just double check. 25 times 5280 gives me 132,000. And that would be feet. And in the bottom, I have 60 times 60, which is going to be 3,600 seconds. And now you can see, okay, I have 132,000 feet per 36,000 seconds. We're going to actually divide that out to get a unit rate. So 132,000 divided by 36,000 is going to give us about, we're going to have to round this. So a really slick way to indicate rounding is to go ahead and use these squiggly equal signs. That gives us an approximate 3.67 feet per 1 second. So you can see that 25 miles per hour is about the same. Now it doesn't divide exactly equal, but 25 miles per hour is about 3.67 feet per second. They're not exactly the same because then I did do some rounding, but really I am just changing the way this looks to be something else that is actually the same value. You can see we could take that feet per second and convert it back into miles per hour. We'll get something similar.